Public hearing,
When Bethany was on the road
number 16.
every day, she's like, let's leave with a brisket sandwich.
Right.
2025.
I say, maybe I'll bring you down
There she is. Yep.
You look like you're at the head of, like, one of these days, Brandon. Yep.
All right, everyone, we're going to get started. Mr. Thomas, if you do the invocation for us.
Glad. Please join me. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this time we can come together and do the business of our people. We ask you to just guide us, guide our hearts and our minds and our actions and everything that we do here tonight. We ask you a special hand of protection over our first responders and our military as they keep us safe. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Man, we got a full house. Thank you for coming. Miss Jessica, do we have any citizens to be heard?
Mr. Chairman, under the approval of the agenda, we have a couple items to note.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I skipped it.
That's all right. You received an add-on agenda item to approve 2 opioid settlement participation agreements. One is with Purdue and one is with some secondary manufacturers. We propose to add that onto consent. It's a standard agreement that you guys have approved in the past for other entities, defendants in the opioid industry, and the monies will be distributed according to an MOU that already exists between the county and the state. So it's a pretty standard item. And then second item of note for tab 16, which is on the agenda, which is to consider the purchase and sale agreement to acquire the property in Opportunity Park for the economic development project that is ongoing. There is a addendum 1 that's noted on the agenda. The addendum was sent to you on Friday, and just wanted to make note that include that in your agenda.
Okay. All right.
Motion to approve with the add-ons.
I have a motion with the add-ons.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, any nays? No. Passes 5-0. Now we can move on. Okay. Citizens to be heard. Mr. David Damon.
Hello, Commissioners.
Hello.
Thank you for letting me speak tonight. I want to address impact fees. Now, I know it's coming up, but I have a lot of information. I want to talk about it because we have all been down this road before many times, and it just keeps getting kicked. But since we haven't had impact fees, there's a lot of money that has been left on the table, and we've had to make up for it by raising taxes, and the people of this county who y'all swore to serve are the ones that are getting hit hard by that. 24, in a study that was done a couple years ago, 24 of Florida's 67 counties do not implement impact fees. Most of these counties, but not all, have experienced negative or relatively little amounts of growth in the last 10 years. That's not true with Wakulla County. We are one of the few counties left that don't charge impact fees. It just doesn't make sense. So why would anybody not support impact fees? I mean, this is These are fees that are put on new development because of the cost of the new development. And we're passing that on to the existing homeowners to pick up the tab for it. So where does that money go? That is money that developers put in their pocket. That is money that they maybe reduce the cost of the house so they can sell more houses. But ultimately, there is impact from new development, and the taxpayers are picking up the tab. Y'all have got to quit doing that. Y'all have got to quit raising all our taxes to subsidize developers. You swore the oath to the taxpayer, not the developers. And those of you that indirectly or directly benefit from development should probably recuse yourselves. It's just unconscionable that we're still having this argument. And you're going to say, well, you can't use it for certain things. Well, there are certain things you can't use it for. That's true. And there's a lot of guidelines to it. But all these other counties have managed to figure it out. It's not rocket science. And they're using the impact fees. And the average cost per unit for single family, 2,500 square foot, for the state is $9,564. That's the average cost. That comes out to, let's see, $3.83 a square foot. Now, to do this fairly, you would do it by the square foot because you don't want to overtax the little houses and undertax the big houses. So that just makes sense. So in the years that we have not been doing this, if all the houses average 1,500 square feet, it would come out to be $18,671,000 that we have left on the table and had to make up for other ways. Thank you. We'll talk more.
Thank you.
All right. No more citizens to be heard, Ms. Jessica? No. All right. Awards and presentations. Mr. Declan Walsh.
Commissioners, how are you?
Good, good.
This is Mr. Declan Walsh. He's a part of Eagle Scout Troop Number 5, and recently he has completed a project for us at Mash's Sands where he built a enclosure around our outside shower. Turned out really good. It's a really nice project, good craftsmanship. If y'all haven't seen it, I encourage you to go look at it. But it turned out great, and I'd like to thank him and his troop, Henry West, all the scouts here. And on behalf of Wakulla County and Parks and Facilities Department, I would like to present him with a certificate of appreciation.
Mr. Declan, you want to? I'll let y'all get a picture. That's what I was going.
Exactly.
Hey, you got your public speaking merit badge. Come on,
Henry, bring your two buckets.
Huh?
Bring them all up here.
Let's see if I ain't gonna be enough room.
All scouts.
Summer, do you want us to stand behind them or? Okay. Yeah, that guy. Josh, you ain't gonna be seen, buddy.
Valerie and I'll just sit.
Summer, you want to back up to the stage?
Yeah, back up to
Scoot this way.
Yeah, y'all come back a little bit.
That's funny.
Stand taller, Josh.
Yeah.
I want to get on your chair.
I am.
Thank you.
Oh. Good.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, Henry.
Good job.
I take it Mr. Declan didn't want to speak. Okay.
Oh, that was all a part of the badge.
All right, announcement of SIDS.
Mr. Chair.
Oh,
Have this on here.
you want me to, I'll go ahead and bring it on now. Ayla? Okay. I'm sorry. Come on up.
Hi, Hi, my name is Layla Brown, and I will be presenting 4-H tonight. I have been involved with 4-H for 3 years, and it keeps getting better every year. I started out joining the shotgun club. Our club met at the sheriff's shooting range. We learned about gun safety, how to handle shotguns, and shooting. We wore safety gear, which included bright orange vests, safety glasses, and earmuffs to muffle the sound of the shotgun, which was very loud. I love shooting clays. I was shooting them in the air and shattering them. The club was awesome. The second year, I joined Air Rifle Club. We learned about gun safety, wearing protective goggles for shooting, and different ways to shoot. I learned to shoot sitting down, lying prone, and standing. It was definitely one of my favorite clubs in 4-H. This past summer, I attempted 4-H Camp in Poochie in Niceville, Florida. It was the first time I attended a sleepaway camp. I made a lot of new friends, and I keep in touch with them daily. This week, I chose to go to camp, and it was for survival skills. I learned how to properly build a fire, set up a tent, how to kayak, we went bird watching, and we made pickles. I am really looking forward to going back next summer. I took grilling class at the Wakulla 4-H Extension Office. We learned how to grill on a charcoal grill, we learned about grill safety and not to leave the grill unattended. We made chicken, steak, pork, and shrimp. We made sides to go with our protein. The sides we made were potato salad and pasta salad. It all tasted delicious. 2 weeks after our grilling class, I represented Wakulla District at the District Tailgate Grilling Competition. I learned a lot and will be looking forward to representing Wakulla next year. This year I am in Pet Pals Food Challenge, Art Lab, Claymakers, Rabbit Club, Communication, Voice and Vision, and Flow, which is short for Future Leaders of Wakulla. Now I will tell you a little about some of these 4-H clubs. In Pet Pals, we learn how to properly care for our pets. We also learn about the animal shelter and how to volunteer. It could be cleaning up after animals, feeding them, playing with the animals, and making sure they get exercise. All donations are welcome and needed to help these animals out. Whether it's food, blankets, toys, medicine, or monetary donations, they are all greatly appreciated. In Food Challenge Cooking Club, we have been preparing a dish as a team. Each of us takes the task of prepping, preparing, creating a recipe, cooking, and presenting our finished work. We must pick out an item to go with our surprise ingredient to make our culinary ensemble. Teamwork presentation, and all team members work together to tell a little bit about the process of how we made our dish, what ingredients we used, what food groups are represented, and what we made in our presentation of our plate. We will be looking forward to a cooking challenge coming up to see what teams will be going to the North Florida Fair to compete against the other counties. Communication, Voice, and Vision, we work on podcasts, speeches, and finding our voice. The last club I'm going to tell you about is Flow, which on Monday, October 13th, Wakulla 4-H will host a Teen Leadership Summit at the Wakulla Extension Office, open to ages 11 through 18. No membership is required and only $15. You will learn leadership, communication, financial skills, and more. Lunch and snacks are included. If you have a youth that is interested in joining the Leadership Summit, you can register at 4hflowleadership.4honline.com. Come join the fun. We are the future and want to learn the necessary skills to be a protective citizen for our great county. In conclusion, I appreciate the time you allowed me to represent our Wakulla 4-H, and thank you for supporting our Wakulla.
Thank you, Leela.
Thank you.
Good job.
SIDS, announcement of the SIDS.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us out this evening. I'm Amanda Madden, and I'm the Associate Executive Director at Capital Area Healthy Start Coalition. Our coalition provides services for anyone prenatal and with families from children aged 0 to 3. A lot of our services surround home visiting programs, but during the month of October, we like to take a pause and honor the families who have experienced either a fetal infant loss or a stillbirth or miscarriage. Between the two counties of Leon and Wakulla, 44 families in 2024 have been impacted by this profound, devastating loss. We want to make sure that families know that we are here to support them, we are here to listen to their grief, and we are never going to let them be alone.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving into consent.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor? Aye. Any nays? Passes 5-0. We have no consent pulled items. General business.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. This agenda item requests board approval to purchase one Class 1 ambulance from Fraser Limited with related medical equipment in an amount of $480,707.92, and that breakdown is $338,125 for the chassis and the box itself, and then $142,582 for heart monitor, defibrillator, power load system, Power Pro system, etc.
Okay.
Request approval.
So all the life-saving equipment's coming on it as well?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Motion to approve?
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor? Aye. Any nays? Passes 5-0.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am?
I'm not sure if this is appropriate or not, and I'm sure Heather will correct me if it's not, but I wanted to let Amanda know that her proclamation was on the consent agenda, if you were looking for it. Okay, we've already done it. Thank you. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Number 14.
Good evening, Commissioners. Excuse me. This agenda item requests board approval of a resolution authorizing the chair to execute a grant agreement from the Florida Department of Commerce's Florida Job Growth Grant funding, providing funds in a non-residential building construction project and Opportunity Park, and the approval of a resolution and a budget amendment. The grant agreement will provide funding for construction of one manufacturing building approximately 100,000 square feet, and any remaining funds from the grant may be used to construct the additional office building at approximately 18,000 square feet. The terms of the grant agreement will expire on December 31st of 2037. Construction of the facility must commence on or before July 1st of 2026 and be completed by December 31st of 2027. The 10 remaining years in the agreement allow time for the manufacturing company to create 300 new jobs. The county attorney has aided in the review of this document and has been noted in section 27A that the language regarding termination of this agreement states the following. Section 27, termination. Commerce may terminate this agreement if A, Commerce determines at its sole and absolute discretion that it is in the state's best interest to do so. Staff is requesting board approval for this item.
All right, I'm going to start real quick, though, by recusing myself from this item because it is with Point Blank, and I work for a vendor that sells Point Blank products. Okay.
Motion to approve?
I have a motion. Second. I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Passes 4-0. All right. 15?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item number 15 is a request for the board's acceptance of an impact fee recommendation and request for board direction regarding the next steps. Kimley Horn and Associates are here this evening to present you with their recommendations in accordance with Section 2.10 of the Wakulla County Charter, which requires the review and recommendation if any impact fees are warranted. Again, staff is requesting further direction after you hear the presentation from Kimley Horn regarding which steps to take in moving forward in the process. With that, I'll turn it over to Lindsay and Hadley.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, ladies, for coming.
I'm Lindsay Slaughterback, so I'm out of our Tallahassee office with Kimley Horn, and then my colleague Hadley Peterson is with us as well. So we'll tell you a little bit about our process and then our recommendations, and then answer any questions.
Okay, if we want to go to the next slide. So we wanted to begin this presentation with an understanding of what are impact fees. So impact fees are a one-time fee that new development pays for public infrastructure that's necessitated by growth. This is collected no earlier than at the building permit stage of the process, and it's governed by Florida statute, the Florida Impact Fee Act. If you go to the next slide, we can talk a little bit about why jurisdictions across the state of Florida look at potentially collecting impact fees. So this may be cases where existing tax revenue and other revenue streams alone are insufficient to cover the costs of infrastructure. This provides a way to fund improvements that are directly tied to new growth. and this is, predictable, upfront, and transparent. The way that this is assessed, there would be basically a table of fees so the developers or others choosing to build in Wakulla County can see what the cost would be. This ensures that developers, new residents, and businesses contribute to the cost of infrastructure as counties or cities grow. In the case of Wakulla County, we wanted to point out that since 2020, there's been about 11% growth based off of the University of Florida's Bureau of Economic Research, and we're looking at more of a tapering growth, 7% expected between now and 2030, and even lower between 2030 and 2045. If you go to the next act, this is the Florida Impact Fee Act, at least in a nutshell. This is what is referred to as the dual rational nexus. Any fees collected, this is something that they must comply with. So this ensures that there's a connection between the need for those facilities and the new development that's occurring. And additionally, it ensures that there's a connection between how the fee is spent and the benefits that that new development would see. So additionally, in the Florida Impact Fee Act, there are other restrictions around how the fees can be spent, which excludes fees being spent for operations and maintenance, salaries, and existing deficiencies. With that, just a brief overview of how impact fees are collected.
All right, thanks, Hadley. So we are not at this phase of the study, so we did task 1, and then task 2 would be calculations, but just for everybody's general knowledge. The fee generally is calculated by the capacity consumed, so that's the infrastructure capacity that the new development is expected to use, times the cost of the capacity, which will determine in partnership with staff moving forward, and then subtracting any credits that you all determine might be useful for development. So Florida statute does not require a specific methodology, so we can work with the county to make that happen, however that looks. The equation should be simple and easily replicated so that everybody's on board with it and can redo the calculation on their own and make sure that they feel comfortable. And then again, with the credits, those are some options that we can explore if we move on to task 2. And there's all the information. So we can go to the next slide. So the history of impact fees in Wakulla County, y'all are aware of this, that in 2009, impact fees were adopted for Parks and Rec, emergency medical services, fire rescue, correctional, roads, libraries, and law enforcement. Those were repealed in 2011, so it's been about 14 years since y'all have had impact fees. So from there, the county has done an excellent job using other funding sources to fund capital projects over the last 14 years or so, but just a little history on the background. And then, next slide. So for the impact fee study, this was our approach. So we started with an initial data analysis over the summer. We did one-on-one with the commissioners just to make sure that you all understood what our approach was going to be and where we were heading. We did a comparative review with counties that were comparable throughout the state. We moved then into a growth analysis to see what Wakulla looks like far into the future and if this makes sense, and then we wrapped that all into a recommendations report. So we can keep going. So one-on-one with commissioners, and over the summer we met with y'all briefly to kind of go over this project and hear what you wanted to see. Generally speaking, there was quite a bit of concern on your end about the gray area, and this really stems from what can we actually use this money for, and y'all do not want to be collecting money from your constituents that cannot be used, and so we understood that moving forward into the study. So back to Hadley.
And so this is the comparative review. And so as part of this, what we did is we reviewed jurisdictions from around the state at the county level that assess impact fees to, understand what are they assessing fees for and what does that look like. And so for the counties that were selected as part of this study, we looked at public lands as a percentage of overall acreage. Wakulla County is very unique in the amount of lands that it has as conservation lands or public lands, and so associating that with similar counties that also have high public land percentages.
Also looking at development pressures and trends, growth rates over time, as well as economy for the case of Northwest Florida, similar geographies as well as similar population growth. With that, we chose these 5 counties to compare it to: Jefferson, Columbia, Collier, Santa Rosa, and Walton, for at least one or more of those reasons stated there. If you go to the next slide, some high-level findings that we've seen in those counties that do assess impact fees. Rural counties are more likely to have a less recently updated impact fee study, so some of their numbers were a little outdated. Especially at the county level, it's very common to have some sort of intergovernmental coordination that allows municipalities to either opt in or out. And then also, counties with significant land area of public lands, in the case of these 5 counties, it's 40% or more, they typically assess impact fees. And then with that, we went into our growth analysis. So the growth analysis was split into residential and commercial to just understand, based off of the growth that's happened over the last 5 years or so, where are we headed looking into the future? And so based off of Bieber, there's about 9,500 more residents coming in by 2050, which when you use Schimberg data, which is based off of that same source, that equates to about 3,500 dwelling units potentially over the next, looking ahead to 2050. With that in mind, we also looked at, okay, that's what, these data sources say, but what does it really look like on the ground at the county level? And so with that, we looked at all the parcels in the county. What are their future land use designations? What are their zoning districts? Do they have wetlands or coastal high hazard area on their parcel? And so, county lands today could support about 42,000 additional dwelling units. However, this is not likely to happen because this does not account for additional land development code requirements such as frontage, access requirements, setbacks. It also doesn't account for the ability to connect to sewer. So, essentially what this is showing is today their lands could support more density than is demanded by the projections that we are seeing. With that, we also looked at commercial, and so commercial growth is mostly anticipated in the urban core, urban fringe, and rural 2 future land use designations. And so what you see as part of this map is just a selection of where those urban fringe properties are located. But essentially, there is quite an amount of square feet of commercial that could still be permitted in the future. And then on the flip side, we also looked at transportation demand. So this is using the Northwest Florida regional planning model that is used for transportation demand modeling across the state. And so this, looks at, based off of where growth is anticipated, based off employment, based off of building, what segments of roadways are we likely to see more growth along. And so this indicated, potential future growth until 2045 along US 98, US 319, and State Road 267. And then based off of that, we moved into our impact fee recommendations. And so as part of this, we did more data analysis. So, we started with the baseline understanding of what other counties are doing around the state. We layered in, what does growth look like in Wakulla County. So what we then did was looked at a series of other data sources to understand if an impact fee might be right in Wakulla County. So as part of that, we looked at your adopted comprehensive plan with specific focus on your level of service standards as outlined in that plan. So those are the standards that ensure level of service provision to a certain degree based on, whether it's parks, recreation, wastewater. We also looked at your adopted 5-year capital improvements programs going back 5 years. So really looking at, how have you historically been funding these items? Is it typically coming from ad valorem? Is it coming from appropriations? Is it coming from grants? What is the funding source that right now is funding those growth-related infrastructure items? We looked at draft adopted infrastructure plans, specifically the projects that have been completed completed in the last 5 years, and again, where those funding for that came from and what that looked like. And then for each, fee type, we dove in a little deeper to whatever the relevant data was for that. So in the case for wastewater, we pulled treatment plan permit data and the monitoring reports. For school facilities, we pulled Florida Department of Education cost and student data, and then for the case of public safety items, we looked at the 2020 public safety infrastructure and proposed plan, in addition to how spending has occurred over the last 5 to 10 years. And this also took into account other funding sources, so looking at grants that were awarded, state appropriations, in the case of wastewater, existing connection or access fees, billing fees, and that property tax as part of ad valorem. And then all of that boiled down to our, impact fee findings. And so the top two that we have recommended here today for you all to consider and move forward with is recreation and transportation. So other fees, and we'll dive into both of those in more depth, but wastewater, what we saw in the case of wastewater is currently, while that takes up a majority of the CIP expenditures, we also see that that's been funded very heavily by grants and other sources in the past, and it's operating well within the treatment plant's capacity for flow rates. And additional, work around nitrogen load and nitrates is being handled through scheduled CIP projects funded by other revenue sources. In the case of the public safety items, we, for EMS and fire rescue, currently those level of service times would, not be pushed into not providing the level of service we are today, just due to the amount of investment that has gone over into those areas over the last 5 years. Currently, the county funds those very well and has things like the municipal service benefit units that fund specifically that type of work here in the county. For law enforcement, a lot of the projected needs looking ahead fall under, the maintenance and operation categories that would not be able to be funded by impact fees. Corrections, the jail is currently well sized for the county and can accommodate new growth as needed, so did not recommend them in those 3 categories. For the library, you all have the new facility that's being upgraded and will be online by early next year, so that facility accommodates any capacity that could be necessitated by this potential growth, so fee is not recommended there. As it relates to public school facilities, there is the potential that this population growth may cause capacity issues at specifically the elementary level, and through conversations with the school district, they may pursue additional studies or their own work to kind of see what that looks like. It could look like a space utilization study, a master plan, or boundary studies in the future, but kind of as of right now, due to the types of funding mechanisms they have in place, not pursuing one at this time, but one of those that kind of keep your eye on it, it may be right in the future. And so with that, just a little bit more about the 2 that we are recommending today. Recreation impact fees. So this is to account for the increased residential growth right now based off of the level of service standards that you all have outlined in your comprehensive plan. This new growth would kind of put you over the limit and put you in need for additional recreational facilities, items like boat ramps, swimming pools, athletic fields, and courts, because the demand for those is already, almost needing new facilities there. And so our recommendation would be to utilize the work that's being completed as part of the ongoing park programming and operations project to be the basis for a plan-based methodology, essentially use the good work that the county is already invested in as part of that process to be the building off point for the data needed to do an impact fee study. And then I'll hand it back to Lindsay to talk about transportation related impact fees.
So one of the other fees that we did recommend was a transportation-related impact fee. So this is different than your typical roadway transportation fee in that it's a little bit more flexible. So with
almost all growth and always in every scenario you see increased traffic because we, do depend on our vehicles, and that puts strain on our transportation systems, whether that's the roads, the trails, the bike lanes, whatever it may be. So there is an opportunity here in Wakulla County to do either a mobility fee or a multimodal transportation impact fee. The multimodal transportation impact fee is a pretty flexible fee structure, as well as the mobility fee, but that is more of a plan-based structure, kind of like Hadley was talking about with the recreation fee. But these are intended to be more flexible so that you all can fund things like sidewalks, trails, and roads in addition to just roads like you would with a roadway transportation impact fee. So this could be a really good option just because, again, people are driving on our roads and they're going to continue to do so. So just to kind of wrap things up, based on our analysis from the comparative review, the growth analysis, we recognize that communities with similar characteristics to Wakulla County assess impact fees for several categories. We recognize that Wakulla County is unique. There is no county in Florida that is exactly like you. So, we worked hard to try and compare across the board and look at things that maybe could work for you and maybe wouldn't work as well, just to see what's out there. Based on some of your constraints related to your public lands, wetlands, coastal areas, you're limited in developable land, and that is a fact. And then, not all impact fees are appropriate, but you might consider recreation and transportation related fees to help fund that those growth related needs. But with that, we are here to answer any questions. We just wanted to present the data to you, and you all, we're here to assist.
All right, thank you, ladies. All right. Well, I guess I've got a couple.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I would go.
Motion.
Oh, yeah, motion.
All right. Go ahead.
We can't discuss anything.
All right. Yeah, we need a motion. We need a motion to keep moving forward.
Just to discuss it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make a motion.
All right. I have a motion.
Second, I guess.
I have a second. All right. Is that second for
Second is
discussion?
discussion.
Okay. All right. So we move into discussion. All right, ladies, I'll start out real quick. Obviously, you guys know I'm excited.
What was the motion?
It's a motion for discussion.
Okay.
I thought it was to move forward. That's what I